The Khilafat and Non-cooperation movement. In this module, you learn about the Khilafat and Non-cooperation movement that was organized by Indian nationalists against the British. The Khilafat and Non-cooperation movement was closely connected with the anti-colonial struggle of the Indians against the British, especially during the First World War and the post-war years. During these years, Indian people faced a lot of hardships, such as shortage of food, increase in taxes, and forceful recruitment to the army. People all over India fought against such problems, but in isolation, till Mahatma Gandhi appeared and suggested a new mode of struggle. In 1915, Mahatma Gandhi returned to India from South Africa and introduced a new method of mass agitation called Satyagraha, based on the principles of truth and non-violence. He organized unified peasant movements in Bihar and Gujarat against the British, which were very successful. Encouraged by the success of these movements, Gandhiji launched a nationwide Satyagraha against the Rowlatt Act of 1919, which proposed to detain Indian political prisoners without trial. The movement ended in the Jallianwala Bagh incident in Amritsar, in which hundreds of innocent people were killed by General Dyer. As the news of this tragedy spread throughout the country, civil violence began in all parts of India, because of which Gandhiji was forced to call off the Rowlatt Satyagraha. Around the same time, Indian Muslims were angered by the way the British had treated the defeated Emperor Khalifa of Ottoman Turkey after the First World War. In response to this, Muslim leaders Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali proposed to launch the Khilafat movement. Gandhiji seized this opportunity to bring Indian Muslims and Hindus together to start a unified national struggle against the British. This resulted in the launch of the Khilafat and Non-cooperation movement in December 1920. The main agenda of the movement was total non-cooperation with the British government, which included surrender of official titles, boycott of government schools, army, police, etc., and use of foreign goods. However, different sections of the Indian society interpreted the movement in different ways. In the towns, the middle class responded to the movement with a lot of enthusiasm by resigning from government schools, colleges and courts. In addition, they peacefully picketed shops selling foreign cloth and liquor. In the countryside, the movement took the shape of a struggle against the oppressive landlords and talukdars, demanding a reduction of land revenue and abolition of forced labor or begar. To organize these movements, the Awadh Kisan Sabha was set up by Jawaharlal Nehru and Baba Ramchandra in October 1920. Workers employed in British plantations also left their work to return to their villages. However, they were captured and beaten up by the British. Although the movement managed to unite various sections of society to fight against the British rule, the movement started dying out because the Congress was unable to provide alternative institutions, and people were forced to return to their government jobs and services. In addition, Congress workers could not remain non-violent throughout, and there were clashes between the protesters and the British authorities. At Chauri Chaura in Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh, a mob of protesters set a police station on fire, killing a number of policemen. Due to this violence, Gandhiji called off the movement in February 1922. Let's recall what you've learned. Indians had to face many hardships during the First World War and in the post-war years, such as shortage of food, increase in taxes and forceful recruitment into the army. In 1915, Mahatma Gandhi introduced the idea of satyagraha to organize mass movements against the British. The Rowlatt Satyagraha movement was organized in 1919, which resulted in the Jallianwala Bagh incident, causing the death of hundreds of people. In 1920, the Khilafat and Non-cooperation movement was launched to protest against the unfair treatment of Ottoman Turkey by the British. The main aim of the movement was total non-cooperation with the British government and boycott of British goods. The movement was called off by Gandhiji in February 1922 after the Chauri Chaura incident.